Hold on tight because gold prices are absolutely blowing up right now. This shiny yellow metal is on a rampage, soaring to levels we haven't seen in ages. We're talking gold hitting close to $3,325 an ounce, showing real muscle with strong gains over the past couple of days. It jumped almost 1% in just one day, and get this, it's already up roughly a quarter for the whole year. That means gold is trading less than $200 short of its all-time record set back in April. It's trying to punch through the $3,300 mark, and if it sticks there, buckle up because it could shoot towards $3,350 or even $3,360. On Monday, spot gold was up about 0.4% to around $3,287, and gold futures climbed about 0.4% to roughly $3,300. Gold even bounced hard from a low of about $3,250, a level it hasn't touched since May. So, why are folks going crazy for gold? It's all about the US dollar, and it's taking a serious beating. The dollar has been getting weaker and weaker, and that's like pouring gasoline on a fire for gold. The US dollar index, which shows how the dollar stacks up against other big currencies, is hanging out near its lowest point since early 2022. When the dollar gets cheaper, gold, which is priced in dollars, becomes a total steal for people buying with other money. It's basic math that makes gold look super hot around the world. Seriously, the dollar's weakness is a massive deal. It's already dropped almost 11% in the first 6 months of this year, making it its worst performance since way back in 1973. Some reports even say it's had its worst first half showing in 22 years. This whole mess is thanks to a mix of stuff. People are betting big on the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates, and there's a federal deficit that's just spiraling out of control. And who's making a lot of noise about all this? Former President Trump. He's been really leaning on the Federal Reserve to chop interest rates. He even sent the Fed Chair Jerome Powell a list of interest rates from other countries with his own angry note saying U.S. rates should be way, way lower, like Japan's about 0.5% and Denmark's about 1.75%. Right now, our rates are between 4.25% and 4.5%, so he wants a huge drop. Trump is even looking at naming a new Fed chair nominee as early as September, and the market is getting super jumpy because of this uncertainty. He believes a cheaper dollar helps us sell more stuff to other countries and shrink our trade deficits, all part of his Make America Great Again playbook. When interest rates are low, it costs less to hold gold, which doesn't pay you any interest. This makes gold way more attractive. The market is increasingly betting on a bunch of rate cuts in the second half of this year. Some even think we'll see at least 3 rate cuts by the end of 2025. The guy who runs the Atlanta Fed, Raphael Bostic, thinks we'll see at least 1 rate cut this year. But Fed Chair Powell himself has said the Fed needs more time to see if those new tariffs are going to push inflation even higher before they even think about cutting rates. He's basically saying they're not in a rush. So keep your eyes glued to Powell's testimony later this week. It could be a total game changer. On top of all that, we've got massive money problems adding to the gold rush. Trump's new tax law, which some folks are calling One Big Beautiful Bill, is set to add a jaw-dropping $3.8 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. That's on top of the approximate $37 trillion we already owe. This kind of insane spending makes investors super nervous, and they go looking for safe places to stash their cash like gold to protect themselves against long-term instability. This bill has already passed the House and is now making its way through the Senate, where it looks like it'll probably pass. Then there's the trade war drama. We're still dealing with high risks from trade fights and global tensions. There's a big July 9th deadline coming up for tariffs, and Trump is threatening to slap even higher tariffs on countries like Japan if new trade deals aren't signed, sealed, and delivered. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, warned that tariff rates could jump from a temporary 10% to as high as 50% if agreements aren't finalized. This crazy uncertainty is pushing investors straight into safe haven assets. While there have been some small wins, like the US and China sorting out issues over rare earth minerals and Canada finally dropping its digital services tax, the overall trade picture is still super shaky. Plus, the ceasefire between Israel and Iran is holding, but it's still fragile, meaning geopolitical tensions could flare up again at any moment. From a trading standpoint, gold has been making some interesting moves. It's trying to break through a key resistance area around $3,337, where a downward trend line meets a major moving average. While it bounced back from about $3,244 and is forming higher lows, it needs to smash through that $3,337 mark with massive buying power to really take off. If it does, we could see it hit 3,374 and then 3,393. If it fails to break higher, it could fall back to 3,294. Gold has even broken out of a recent downward trend, which is a great sign for the bulls. It's now trading above its 50-period moving average at about $3,309. Some analysts say if it climbs above 3,300, it could challenge 3,350 and even 3,400. However, if it drops below about $3,297, it might head back to its monthly lows of about $3,248. The short-term picture looks pretty good for gold as long as a key rising trend line stays strong. If gold can get above $3,500, some experts expect it to rally all the way to $3,800 based on how it's been consolidating. Even with some noise, the easiest path for gold looks to be straight up. Some folks even think gold has a path to $4,000. Beyond gold, other precious metals are also on the move. Silver is holding strong above about 35.90, but it's hitting some resistance around 36.50. If silver breaks above 36.50, it could climb towards 37.30 or even 37.5. It's currently trading around 36.20, showing some hesitation but still maintaining a slightly positive vibe. Platinum has surged, climbing about 0.6% to about $1,367. It had its best month ever in June, jumping almost 29%. This is because there's hardly any supply right now with huge demand, especially from Chinese jewelry makers. Palladium is also up, gaining about 1.2% to roughly $1,110. Looking ahead, the direction of gold will really depend on what the Federal Reserve does with interest rates, how the US dollar keeps moving, and all the economic data coming out. If the Fed signals they're ready to ease up on policy, gold could explode even higher. The short-term outlook for gold is looking great. As long as the dollar keeps struggling and those rate cut bets get stronger, gold is set to keep climbing. Keep a close eye out for some big economic reports this week. We've got manufacturing data, unemployment numbers like the ADP employment report, and the super important non-farm payrolls report coming up on Thursday. These numbers will tell us a lot about what the Fed might do next. So that's the deal with gold. It's riding a massive wave of dollar weakness, Fed guessing games, and endless uncertainty from Washington, D.C. The yellow metal is shining brighter than ever, and it might just keep going up. If you found this breakdown helpful, smash that like button, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next update, and ring that bell so you get notified every time we drop new content. Thanks for tuning in.